Module 3, Lesson 1: The Imperative of Daily Grounding and Centering. There are few things I will ever say are imperative. We're all unique beings with unique needs, tendencies, preferences, and histories, and that's massively important to respect and honor for any of the tools I recommend to be effective for you. That said, regular grounding and centering is one thing every empath must prioritize in order to move through the physical plane with any level of balance and empowerment. In Module 4, I'll speak more thoroughly about astral hygiene, but I'd like to introduce this term now to really hone in on the importance of regular grounding and centering for the empath. Just as we wouldn't neglect our physical hygiene, like brushing our teeth, no matter how busy or distracted we got, so too should we feel about our astral hygiene, including and especially encompassing a regular practice of grounding and centering. In the previous module, you were invited to reflect upon the qualities of the empath and to consider how these traits show up in your body and experience. This worksheet covered both the traits of the empowered and disempowered empath. And as you can see, these two experiences are vastly different. When an empath is disempowered, our sensitive nature is experienced primarily as a disorder, almost always leading to mental illness, with anxiety as one of the most common of these imbalances. You may even say there's a thin line between the spiritually inclined and the mentally ill, absolutely with overlap across the two. Now, this is partially due to the multidimensional perception of empaths, but also because our sensitive nature, if not cared for and cultivated properly, quickly devolves into a boundaryless experience of scattered energy, emotional imbalance, crippling self-doubt, depression and anxiety, and the inability to stay anchored here on the earth plane as a spiritual being. The number one key to avoid this is regular grounding and centering. Without it, we're left floating all over the place, unable to discern where our energy ends and begins and how to make sense of the world around us. Now, have I emphasized this imperative enough? If you're still unsure about the importance of grounding and centering, take a moment to reflect again on the worksheet from Module 2. This time, focus on the disempowered empath traits and recall if or when you've embodied those traits. At those times, did you have a regular grounding and centering practice? Now, reflect more deeply and recall how it felt moving through life in those states. What was it like showing up at work? What was it like in your romantic relationships? How about your friendships? How did your body feel during those times? If you find it helpful to really anchor in this message, take some time to journal about the struggles you experienced in those states. In the following lesson, I'm going to talk more in depth about both grounding and centering, how they're different, and why it's so important for you to prioritize them both in your daily life. In the third lesson of this module, you will learn about the heart space temple, why it's the foundational trance work tool, and how it's an ideal practice for grounding and centering, as well as healing your nervous system from anxiety and other nervous system malwiring.